Hello, hello. Nice to see you guys here. A couple of you here. Sorry I was a little bit late. I was running around. It's pretty nice here in Southern California. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's got to be 80 degrees out there, and it's definitely doesn't feel like Christmas or New Year's. I did get to jump over to Denver for about 20 hours, 12 hours really, to go see my sister's boyfriend, his premiere for his documentary called Karting Across America, where he actually drove a golf cart across America. It was pretty awesome. So I got a little bit of snow in Denver, which was pretty good. Okay, let me get into some questions. Thanks for coming, by the way. New Year's resolution from Robin Johnson. Nice to see you, Robin, by the way, and hopefully, yes, I'll see you in Steamboat in just after New Year's. New Year's resolution for me is definitely to ski more this year and to spend a little bit more time also in California. But Colorado counts as home, so a little bit more time home. From Tracy Wong. I have to be honest, my favorite food, I like bananas and I like broccoli. Those are like my two favorite foods out there. Will there be a GRC race in SoCal from Karen? I think there will. I think there's going to be, okay, here's what I know so far. There's going to be 5 events plus X Games. The events will be on ESPN Live, ESPN2 Live or something, and will probably be Saturday afternoon events. And so it'll be packed in, the first half of the year before X Games, and then maybe one will be after X Games. But we'll have to see. I think some of it's a little bit undetermined. Gabrielle, thank you very much for that comment. Appreciate it. Aaron May, heard from you before. Let's see. It's not a problem to take time out of a schedule. I mean, this holiday, it's kind of weird these days between Christmas and New Year's, right? It's like this funk. Are you working? Are you still on vacation? Because half people are on vacation, half people are working. Plans are going good for 2012. Looks like more European stuff. Looks like more GRC stuff. There's been some really cool opportunities to get into some other types of racing, which I like that variety. I'm going to stick with rallycross, and then maybe a couple road racing events, maybe a couple off-road truck events with Rockstar. But that's the core is going to be rallycross. I think it is going to be, like we've talked about before, going to be pretty good in the U.S., so I'm going to try to ride it out a little bit. Thank you, Karen. I'm doing good. Let's see. Papadakis meeting. Terry. Yeah, because I mentioned about getting that V8 Scion back. It still is in Scion's hands, but I'm working towards it. I'd love to get a shop or something in our race team has a shop in Huntington Beach, and I'd love to get kind of a corner of that and start putting together some of the fun stuff that I've been lucky enough to kind of be involved with building, whether it's a crazy all-wheel drive Fiesta or a Scion with a NASCAR motor, just weird stuff like that. It'd be fun to kind of have that. Museum sounds old, but it's really just to take friends out and have a good time with those kind of cars. It's a shame when they just sort of sit there and they go in the lobby of a headquarters of a company and they just don't ever get to run again. So I'd like to revive them a little bit. Porsche. That's a cool way to spell that word. I like it. Coming up in the UK anytime soon? Yes, and my name is pronounced the same as the car, ending with an A, Porsche. So, yeah, I like it. Let's see. In the UK, events coming up. I'm not going to go to the Auto Sports show, unfortunately, this year. It's a very cool show, but not going to be there. I think I'll be in the Philippines shooting a movie. I think the first time I'll be there will be a test before, I don't know, March. And then Linden Hill, I think, is in April, the race for the European Rallycross Championship. Erica, Happy New Year to you. Saving up for his first car, your son is, and he's 12. That's hilarious. I love it. First time I drove a car was when I was 13 and been addicted ever since. Actually, 10. I drove a car when I was 10. and I was 13. I'd been driving for 3 years when I turned 13. My mom used to let me drive around. This is a side story, sorry, it's taking a little too much time, but my mom used to let me drive back and forth in this part of an estate that we lived on in Scotland that was kind of private property. It wasn't our property, but police weren't allowed there anyway. And I drove my Volkswagen bus around there from age 10 to 13 and then moved back to California into Napa Valley. And I couldn't drive for 3 years until I got my driver's license when I was 16. Those were the longest 3 years in my life for sure. My son's saving up for his first car. The Honda CRZ looks, I think it looks pretty good. I mean, Rutledge is the Honda expert, but I used to be a Honda expert. I've had a lot of Hondas, and the CRX was a great car, which I think the CRZ is kind of like the modern day CRX. I always thought it never got written up as much as it deserved to. It's just, its lightweight made it very capable, even though it didn't have a lot of power. Yeah, so I think the CRZ would be a great car. Obviously the Fiesta is not a bad call, but don't want to act like I've sold my soul or anything. Fiesta. Fiesta. Focus. Just kidding. CRZ would be good also. Those crazy stalkers you just can't get rid of. I don't know, Michelle? By the way, I'm so glad you're doing this again. Very nice of you, Michelle. Thank you. It's the best thing ever at Christmas. My favorite color? Megan? I think it's blue. Maybe green. Kind of changes sometimes. It used to be yellow, but that's just because my dad had a yellow Porsche. But yeah, I'd say probably blue. Joy, hi, how are you? Best thing that I ever got for Christmas, I remember getting one of these remote control cars. It was a Formula One car that had 4 steering tires, 4 front tires. It was my first remote control car. I think I was probably 3.5 or 4. It was pretty awesome. And then I remember getting the Stomper set. Again, this is dating me a little bit with a lot of you, but they're these Stompers you put on a Stomper track, and they were just a little truck with a AA battery in them. You just flip the switch on, and they would just drive over anything with these little foam rubber tires they had, and you'd get these tracks that were like all flexible, and it was awesome. Okay. Ted. I ended up in Southern Orange County because I was friends with a guy named Reese Millen, and I moved into his house when I moved out here. And Reese kind of turned me on to the beautiful place to live down here in Southern Orange County. But thank you for the question. Okay, I lost track here, so hold on just a second while we dive back on. Matthew Gross, yeah, you drove your S2000 in that storm in Colorado. That was a pretty good storm. It's always tough in Denver with like the first snowstorm because it's sometimes pretty wet. And as you know, living in Denver, the wet snow is the stuff that's hard to drive in and is difficult for something like an S2000. But it really just comes down to the tires. If you had some Blizzaks or some snow tires on there, then I think you probably would be okay with a car like that with good balance and stuff. My shoulder is okay, Carrie. Thank you for asking. It's getting better. I think it actually was like just a little bit of tendonitis. If you're a doctor, let me know what I should be doing for that. But it's hard for me to get things checked out and get MRIs because sometimes I don't make it as much a priority as I should, and I end up just traveling around and continuing to do stuff. But it's good. I still feel it every once in a while. And I hope your knee gets better. Left shoulder is fine, Kim. Now it's the right shoulder. It's just kind of one of those things. Joy, how many states have you been to? Try to think of the states I haven't been to. I want to say I think I've been to almost every state in the continental U.S. And I've been to Alaska now, the Top Gear show. I think I've been to every state. That's pretty cool, actually. I haven't really thought about that. That's really lucky. It's a great country to check out, you know. And I've been lucky enough to do it in road trips where you get to see every inch of it. Andy, again, my sister's boyfriend, he and his friend drove back and forth across the country on a golf cart. So they saw it in a slightly different, more zoomed in kind of way than I have before. But yeah, it's a cool place to check out. We're very lucky in that respect. All right, let me burn back. Let's see. Who is this from? This is from Kayla. Am I a aggressive and impatient driver on the road? Absolutely not. I don't know why, but I swear I get my I vent into other people's race cars, maybe is why, and so I don't experience road rage. I don't have a problem on the street. I hate traffic and I hate transit time. So in the desert, I definitely cruise a little bit, but no, I don't get frustrated behind the wheel. It's not, honestly, I don't think it's a good place to get frustrated. It's an easy place to get frustrated because, basically everybody outside of your windshield is a a-hole, but it's that's kind of the mentality a lot of people have. But I don't get the road rage thing, luckily. Kristen, hi 73 Gemini, how you doing? What stuff from the 80s do I listen to? Oh my gosh, I don't even want to get that started. Just so you know, in high school I completely burned out Phil Collins, burned it out. None of my friends will even listen to a stitch of Phil Collins. I probably should not admit that anymore, but it's yeah, I still turn it up when a couple 80s songs come on. I gotta be honest, I do have an 80s playlist on my phone that is well used. Christy, you went to the Top Gear show. Cool, thank you for coming. I'm going to make it out to Steamboat to ski this season. Yes, I think I'm going to be there the first week of January. Crossing fingers. You never know, but I'm crossing fingers. The weather holds out, and I wish I could be out there for New Year's, but yeah, things when it's personal travel and it's not really work related, it's hard to tell what might happen. Jenna, hi somewhere near Philly. Thanks for doing. Did I get to do some skiing in Denver? No, I didn't. I went there, I saw the premiere, turned around, and I left. I had an early flight the next morning. My brother, unfortunately, has injured himself, so I hung out and played some video games with him, but yeah, that was about it. It was a pretty in-and-out trip. Next trip to Denver will involve some skiing. I'm looking forward to getting a good quad burn, as it's been a while. Cameron, congratulations on racing the go-karts. And you're building a bigger go-kart, a 90 hatchback. Very cool. Bring it out to the GRC. That's awesome. Make sure that there's going to be a two-wheel drive class. I don't know much about the rules with GRC, but make sure, because I know they've been going kind of back and forth on that sort of stuff. But unless you're planning on building it into an all-wheel drive class. I think it's a great plan. It's going to be super competitive this year in the Global Rallycross. There's going to be factory teams from like 4 or 5 different manufacturers that are all pretty well funded. So it will be tough to build your own car and come out and be competitive, but there's no better way to get started, really. So my favorite type of car, Taylor, it changes with the day of the week. I will be honest with you. It depends what I'm doing. But I've been, the desire's 10 times greater than the having, right? So it's good to have those carrots out in front of you, and I think a GT3 RS is my carrot right now. I use that as a little bit of motivation. I think that's such a cool car, and the 4-liter version would be awesome, but I would settle for a measly 3.8, Kim, okay, yeah, okay, so this is actually from Yun. Am I reading any books? Any recommendations? Yes, a couple. Here's an old, easy one, depending on where you're shopping there. An old, easy one that is, some people like, some people don't, but it's been out for a long time, but it's a quick, good, fun read. It's called The Art of Racing in the Rain. It's written from a dog's perspective. I'm sure a lot of you have read it, and it's kind of a nice little story because the dad is a racer, and there's so much truth to what they kind of go on. Even just the descriptions of what the dog is watching when he's watching Senna race on TV. That it's obviously written by somebody who spent a lot of time around cars and race cars. I have driven in a dust storm. I'm trying to think of when that was. Not a real dust storm like you might get out the Middle East, we were doing some sort of a shoot on a desert, and I remember we just had to stop and let it roll through, but not maybe a dust storm, Claire, like you've been in. Krista? Wow, deep question. What would I like to be remembered for? That's like a death implication right there. It is about to be the year 2012, so I understand where sort of that's coming from, but one thing I would like to be remembered for, I mean, probably just being a fair. You know, you always want to be fair. It's hard in racing to be considered like level-headed and fair and not completely self-centered. So probably fair. It'd also be nice to... The things that I admire most about my driving heroes are, you know, that they're good people and that they are able to be competitive in virtually anything they drive. Carrie, you could help me with my shoulder. You're an occupational therapist. Nice. Tendonitis. Good. Yeah, I'll swing on by Kentucky. I'll bring the shoulder. You bring the knowledge. Thank you. What makes Rutledge so sick, Joy? Well, it's because he's just a big, lovable teddy bear with an inner ear problem, maybe, or he just didn't really get shaken much as a baby. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I think he's very mental. He's very mentally driven, and because of that, he lets himself get a little bit spun out of control, a little bit easily. And man, it does not take much to get him sick. He just thinks about the problems, and that's it. Kelly, thank you. Phil Collins, he does still kind of rock a little bit. Let's see. Aaron, your birthday's a week from today. Yeah, happy birthday. That's awesome. Congratulations. A week from today. So that's kind of far enough from Christmas that growing up you probably did get 2 batches of presents. I've got a family member who just had a birthday yesterday, and I always felt bad because, you know, it's close enough that it's only 3 days. I've got another friend that's got a birthday on Christmas, and kind of go through life just sort of getting overwhelmed. I mean, Santa Claus and, you know, or your birthday. It's sort of, you know, you kind of get overwhelmed by that a little bit, but congratulations. Happy birthday, Aaron. Crazy Hot Wheels stunt, you know, I'm pretty sure there's some stuff in the works. I think all you have to do is look on the box, and somebody's going to be building whatever you see on those boxes for real. So that's makes me very nervous, actually, but stay tuned on the Hot Wheels thing. Thanks, Karen. Could you drift a jet or a small plane? Chrissy, I would not want to, but I'd try. I think but there's no drive going to the wheels, so it'd be under braking and it would be scary. And I've seen some gnarly video. In fact, for some reason I was surfing YouTube not too long ago and I saw some crazy video of this plane that was sliding on landing and like drifted off the side of the runway, and it was super hectic. I don't think I'd want to do that, mainly because the first thing that touches the ground is the wing, and that's also what's holding the flammable liquid. Megan, oh, that was your daughter that sang the Christmas list song. Yeah, that was funny. And she's an owner of a Foust t-shirt. Thank you very much for that. What was the favorite vehicle that I had in the Top Gear show? I mean, I always like the new cars. I would say that GT2 RS was pretty sick. Of the old cars that we get, one that I really liked and I actually own now is the Jeep that we drove across Death Valley. You know, we each had our trucks for Death Valley, and I drove a Jeep, and that thing was awesome. It went anywhere. It was so brutally tough. It hands down beat the other guys, even if they somehow justified some logic that they won. But I kept that Jeep, put in a bunch of repairs to fix the wiring damage that was caused by the can of beans in there, and now I own it. I go off-roading around here in Southern California. It's really cool. How often I go to Willow Springs? Generally just for work, not too much for pleasure track days, but you know, work track days are the same as pleasure track days. So Cody, I'd say I go there probably once a month. Polly, I didn't mean to skip your question. If you could recreate one movie car chase, what would it be? Yeah, you pulled the one out that I was going to say was Bullet. There'd be two that I'd like to do. One would be Bullet because of the jumps and down. I'd love to like tie in some modern cars, modern suspension, and kind of kick sideways over some of those jumps down through California Boulevard in San Francisco and all that kind of stuff. But also, another one is Ronin. That whole reverse traffic one was crazy. And then they had a BMW, so they had kind of a fairly in the stunt world. A lot of times you don't get dealt the card of like a newer car to drive. That is Victoria texting me, and she says, "Oh yeah, Will. Will sent a question and asked me if I answer my own questions on Facebook. Of course I do." Victoria often has to do what she just did, which is give me a little reminder on stuff, so bless her for that. But yeah, Will, I answer the questions. Anyway, Ronin would be the second one. All right, I'm going to try to go a little quicker, as I only have about 30 minutes today. But am I coming out to Pikes Peak? Good question. I don't know. That's the first time I've really thought about it in a little while. I would love to. It's usually a problem with X Games. I think X Games are a little earlier this year, so it may conflict with Pikes Peak, but it may open it up a little bit. I would like to come back there soon, though, but it's getting more and more different as it's more and more paved. This year will be 100% paved at Pikes Peak. Lesnar, Michael. I'd love to return to Drift. Trying to put together something maybe for a couple rounds. If it doesn't happen this year, hopefully next. That was from Macarena. How much do I love getting Papa Bear sick, Karen? It's one of my favorite things to do. That maybe makes me a bad person a little bit, but yeah, getting Rutledge sick there's something sort of satisfying about it. I mean, in the same way that it's probably fun to like break a plate intentionally, like just, you know, or smash glass. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense at all. Merchandise shop opening soon. My gosh, Kristen, I hope so. It's getting crazy, but Etnies is working hard. The stuff is on order, and we're putting together some other stuff also that'll be a little more European style, but we'll see if Americans like it. But thank you for that question, Kristen. Got it, Victoria. Man, she just hounds me. It's crazy. I saw some toys for the red, blue, green driver, but not you. Karen, yeah, there's going to be toys out there. There should be yellow driver stuff. Hi, Chrissy. No, there's no chance that I'm the Stig. We've been in the same place at the same time many times. And you're right, the Stig would not be afraid to drift a plane because of the flammable liquid. He has no common sense. It is a good point. Maybe we should get the Stig to drift that plane that you're talking about. I'm all on board for that. It'd be great. There's lots of little Jeep trails, Brian, around SoCal. They're kind of seasonal, I think. There's some owl breeding and stuff like that, but there's stuff around Ortega Highway. And Krista, again, if you had to list 3 things you regret not learning to do. Oh man, that's going to take more than half an hour, Krista. There's a lot of things I regret. I regret not being a better surfer. I can get up. It's one of the few things that I can do not that well that I still actually really like to do. Kind of regret stopping rock climbing, but racing was coming into play, and so when I used to be more competitive rock climbing, that I miss that fitness level that kind of gave you. And I'll think of something else. The GT2 RS episode filmed around the 4th or 5th? I don't know. That was a long time ago. 4th or 5th of what, Matthew? I want to say it had to have been almost a year ago that we shot that. Or it was actually May. It's May or June, because that car went straight to Jeff Swart, who raced it up Pikes Peak. KC1, thank you. Kristen, Bullet. Yeah, it would be a good call. I would love to redo that one. Incentive flight in a fighter jet? And yeah, I don't know if I really understand what that means, incentive flight. If that has to do with like going up in somebody else's fighter jet and getting hurled around until you vomit, sounds like fun to me. I'm in. My driving heroes. I was just watching a video that's kind of gotten lit back up again on YouTube from one of my biggest driving heroes, and that is Colin McRae. And it's this video. I forget what the title was. I think it was At the Limit, Colin McRae at the Limit, something like that. It's unbelievable. It's a rally stage. It looks like he's been on it 100 times, and those rally stages, you don't get to drive them that much. It's really incredible commitment. So Colin McRae, also Rod Millen, has always been one of mine. Even his brother Steve Millen is a big hero because he is just so competitive in so many different kinds of cars. It's awesome. Even at mid-60s, you could put Rod or Steve in a car, and they would be fast. Will, I can't wait till X Games either. It's going to be awesome. And if you want an autograph, come on out. I'll be there. I don't know exactly where, but you know, we've got the pits. The pits I think are fairly open. We'll be doing autograph sessions with Ford at X Games, so just come over to the Ford booth and there'll be signs and all that kind of good stuff. Chicago Auto Show, Chrissy. I think I will be at the Chicago Auto Show. I'm supposed to be in the Philippines for a month, but I'm thinking that we'll be coming back a little early. I think the Chicago Auto Show is around February 8th. Something like that, so probably be around there. Teaching a Chicagoan how to drift sounds fun. Could be difficult legally, but yes. Greetings from Manchester. Hi, Raylene. How are you? Are there UK drivers that we'd like on the US Top Gear? Absolutely. We'd love. There's a lot of UK drivers that I think would be great to kind of showcase. You know, there's some cool sports that go on in the UK that we don't necessarily get in the States that are sort of American. There's like these sprint cars that are really giant. If you go to the auto show, there's an indoor like demo arena. Anyway, they're like sprint cars, but they're bigger and they're V8s. They look like they sound like they're kind of like crate motors. They're not crazy V8s, and the racing's pretty hardcore. But two very different things. It was cool that Ken went and did that show for the UK. So I'd love to get spun around by you know, Hamilton or Jensen in a little two-seater F1 car. Maybe they could arrange that. That'd be great. In Bogota. You do have nice roads, Camille, really. In Colombia. It's difficult to get to Colombia from the States sometimes, but I think that I'm good to go wherever there are good roads. We talked about going to Costa Rica for Top Gear. We talked about traveling around and really finding kind of like the perfect roads out there. I love dirt roads. They would scare Adam and Rutledge, I think, to death. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit. Thank you, Carlos. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. I have done Pikes Peak. I've done Pikes Peak, I think, 4 times, Jenna. Xianhe. Hi. Sorry if I mispronounced that. What cars do I drive on a daily basis? Today I drove an M3 and a Raptor. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. Sorry, because it's 5 minutes. I'm getting a little bit late. Apologize. I have not gone overseas to see the troops, Claire. It's a very good question. I would love to do that. I've done a lot of shows, probably 26 shows on military bases, where back when, if you remember a show, Battle of the Supercars, and then Supercars Exposed on the Speed Channel. This is like 3 years or about ago, and we used to do all the Battle of the Supercar shows pretty much on military bases, and then the Supercars Exposed, which was before that, we did a couple shows, but we would take troops around drifting. We would do it at lunch. Some shows on the show we took some troops around, but it was really just for fun, behind the scenes stuff. And it was so cool to meet those guys. And you know, there's a Camp Pendleton is right up the street from here, and you know, a lot of these guys are, you know, 19, 20, 25 years old. The level of responsibility they've got is unbelievable. And so it was nice to go there, because I'm more represent maybe a lack of responsibility. I don't know, but just to go and have some fun on base with them, and use the runway instead of you know, taking off airplanes and drones that are protecting our country. Just go there and see how fast you can go in a Lamborghini. You know, it's nice to kind of take some of the weight off sometimes. Have I ever been to Denmark? Yes, Mia, I have. Beautiful place, lots of cows and milk. No, it's really nice in Denmark. Joy, I've known Adam and Rutledge now a few years. I mean, since about a year before we started airing the first show. And okay, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Hi, Nancy, from Jenna. Oh, Jenna posted that for you later, Nancy. Hi, nice to see you. I'm not going to answer the question about what I would do if I was God, Krista, because that just sounds really hard, really hard. There's no correct answer, I don't think. Linda, good. I'm glad you're coming back to the X Games. Okay, Anne is going to explain what an incentive flight it is. I go to the USO after a fighter base and do a meet and greet. Could get up with a flight in an F-15 or F-16. You'd love it. Military folks would love it. That would be awesome, Anna. I am going to try to do that. We've been trying to incorporate a plane and a car together on the Top Gear show, kind of like they did in the UK, but different. In the UK, they raced with a plane going up a mile and a car going out a mile, and we would do something similar but different. A Foust Mobile. Really, Erica? I don't know if they could call it that. It's kind of a funny name, though. Lisa, how do you feel about Holter and the other ERC drivers coming over to GRC? Yeah, I feel like there is a target on my back for those guys, since we got second in that championship over there. But it's great. The GRC level needs to get higher. It'll take a long time before it ever gets to the point where the ERC is, because, I mean, the competition level with the ERC is really, really high, as Holter pointed out in that video. But it's okay to have a target on your back. It's better to have a target on your back than be always chasing somebody, you know? Have I watched Powerboat Racing, Shannon? Yes, I have. Wow, that's cool that your dad's an engineer with that stuff. That's big racing. Huge budgets. I mean, crazy logistics. Polly, I'll be in New York City. I'm usually there 4 or 5 times a year. Don't know when the next time is, though. I like to drive on ice and snow, gravel, asphalt, all that stuff. Linda, if I was rally driving, I would still try to convince Chrissy Beavis to ride along with me. Yes, she is very good. And as I've had a couple stage rally opportunities kind of swing by the plate in recent history, I've always intended to have Chrissy jump in there. Okay, skipping forward just a little bit. Claire, thanks. Can't wait for the next season also. Michelle, does that molecular biology ever come in? The degree come in handy? Sure. It sort of does. It's fun to... Does it ever come in handy? Yeah, kind of, because, you know, the genetics is a big part of the molecular biology, so you're always kind of looking at friends and their kids, and, you know, it's a conversation thing. Unless you're going to teach it, be in a lab, or be a doc, you're not going to use it. I'm not going to use something like that on a daily basis, but there's a lot of little fun facts I remember from, like, the physiology classes and the mechanical biology classes. Like, when a bird flies, and it's like an eagle swooping in to catch a fish, and its wings get to like a high angle of attack there where the wind is coming this way, and they come in like that, and they're about to stall, and that little feather pops up from kind of the midpoint of the wing. It's actually an vortice inducer, and it makes vortices stick down the back side of the wing that makes it harder for it to stall, so it can go a slower speed and catch the fish. How awesome is that? That's what's cool about having a biology degree, is I'm just in awe of some of those types of things. And actually some of them apply to racing, but not so often. Karen, yes, we have a lot of input on what the challenges are. More and more as we do more shows. So that's kind of nice that we get to... really, for Adam, he's usually just talking about what kind of food he demands for lunch. Rutledge demands the type of hotel. And I usually am pushing really hard on the type of cars that we get to drive. That's sort of how it breaks down. I'm kidding. That's not actually completely true, but there's a little bit of truth in every lie. Linda, thank you for offering to be my co-driver. I'm just saying that that's the craziest job ever. Chrissy is so much more brave than I am. Just strap into that thing without a steering wheel in front of her. Okay, skipping ahead just a little bit. What would you say is the best and worst car I've ever owned? Ooh, that's tough. The M3 is one of the best. One of the worst, I had, gosh, another one that was really good. I just remember the good. I just remember the positive. It was an Audi 4000S Quattro. That thing was badass. It was an 85. I was too cheap to put a muffler on it, so I just straight piped it. It's just the 5-cylinder. It had this pulsy, it's kind of pulsy like a Subaru STI. If you've ever heard one of those without a muffler at all, it is the loudest thing ever, especially when the engine's cold. I had to literally wear earplugs to get to Denver when I was driving through the mountains with that thing. Otherwise, your ears were just ringing. Okay, skipping ahead a little bit. Let's see. Any insight on the whereabouts of Blurpy? No. Oh, Blurple? Yeah, actually, the truck, I do know exactly where that is. Adam and Rutledge. Well, they did something with it that you will see, I think, in February. It's not very nice. They're just jealous of it, really. And they pushed it to its limit, let's just say that. But it went down in battle. It was an honorable way to go down. The Octane Academy program, Brian, as far as I know, is good. I mean, Deegan did his. Apparently it was pretty hardcore. I think right now or next week is Ken, then JR, and then mine is at the end of February. So where I'm at now is I'm still a couple weeks away from going through the videos. They're having me hold off on that until we get through Ken's and some of the other ones, and then we'll go through the videos and pick out the people to come out to Octane Academy, and mine is going to be about stunt driving. So we're going to be driving, I don't know what the challenges are. I want to drive through fire and on 2 wheels and 360s and do all kinds of stunt stuff just to challenge people to, you know, really stretch their own ability to like do the right thing in the face of just absolute chaos. But we'll see how I think it's an evolving beast at this moment. A moment of silence for Blurpy. Blurple? Yeah, oh yeah, my bad. I never really thought of it as a purple truck. It was always blue to me, but Krista, here's a moment of silence. Okay, that's good enough. It's a truck after all. Liza. Apologies. It's not Liza, it's Liza. Or Lisa, or whatever I said. Yeah, Karen, I know. That truck was, you wouldn't believe what they put that truck through. I haven't seen all the footage, but I've heard the stories. And it's bad. Porsche, my plans for New Year's are changing. I did have some, but I'm hoping to be in the mountains. We'll see. Shannon, yes, I did watch some powerboat racing. It's crazy. I've never seen it live. It always seems like something that seems like it'd be better from a helicopter television camera. But I bet live it's amazing because the power those things makes them just insane. Okay, Jackie, so this is the last one. Hi, Jackie, by the way. It's been a long time. East Coast races, there are some. I think there's Atlanta. No idea when that is. I want to say that's just after X Games, like 2 or 3 weeks after X Games. I think the rumor is that the GRC is going to be possibly going to some tracks, like smaller NASCAR tracks. I don't know the exact thing, but that would lend itself to some East Coast racing. Yeah, Ronin did have some of the best driving in it, didn't it? It was really cool, and that was far enough ago that I didn't really know who those people were that were driving in that. I wish I did because it's really cool. Ortega Cruz, I'd love to take my motorcycle out. It is just after 12 o'clock, and Brian, I don't think I have time. I have to go up to LA for a 1:30 meeting, which is why I have to jump out of here. Do I get car sick when I race? Brenna, no. If you've got this, here's the thing in my philosophy, and I think this is kind of how it is. If you've got the steering wheel in your hand, you are not surprising yourself, and so you don't get sick. It's kind of like trying to tickle yourself. Go ahead, give it a shot. See, it doesn't work. You can't tickle yourself. Even if you're a super ticklish person, you can't do it because you can't surprise yourself. So I think that's the idea. Anyway, it's my philosophy. I didn't come up with that, but I'm pretty sure it's dead on. There's if you can't surprise yourself, it's easier to not get sick. And that's why people like Rutledge, who don't anticipate anything and are very easily surprised, whatever, he just gets sick. Joy, shout out for your sister Teresa. Hi, Teresa. Thank you for chiming in. Krista, you're welcome. Thank you guys very much for checking it out. So this is the end of 2011, right? Big year, 2012. Could be the last year we're on the planet. You never know. But going hard. Going to go overseas for a long time, and starting off with a trip to the Philippines for filming of the Born 4 movie. And then just a lot of stuff going on. We'll see if we get re-upped on Top Gear, but the second half of Season 2 on Top Gear, which I think all three of us and the producers are proud of kind of how that's coming out. Editors have done an amazing job making us look cool. So that's happening on the 14th of February is when that is starting to air. And that's seems like a long way away, but it's really right around the corner, so that'll be very cool. Anyway, thank you guys very much. Hopefully we can do this again soon.